Hello, fellow Bereans. Thank you for joining me. And today we are going to be verse mapping Revelation 3:10. And if you haven't been with us before, this is Berean Bible Journeys, where we verse map using the original languages and the context of the word. And it brings out so much in-depth meaning. So this verse today, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. I may do this video into two parts, just depending on how long this goes, because I don't want it to be super long. I'm going to put it in reading mode here so you can see it better. All right, so Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So we're going to do the whole verse, and then the focus is going to be on this last line, to try them that dwell upon the earth. That is going to be where you're going to get some maybe new information that is going to really change the way you view life and the Bible and everything that is going on in the world right now. It's really going to help you out. So make sure you stay tuned and see all that. All right, so we want to get our context first, of course. This verse starts with because. The word because means that, since, wherefore, and it makes reference to the words that precede or immediately are following it. So we're talking about the words that are preceding it here. This context is added to the speaker's words to show what ground he gives for his opinion. So in verse 9, he says, I have loved you. All right, I'm getting all of these meanings from BibleHub.com. They also have an app. So if you want to reference one of my earlier videos where I take you step by step on how to get to these meanings, all right? But for now, just follow along. So that's your context, because, and that preceding verse says, I have loved you. And why has he loved them? He's telling him in this verse here. So because thou hast kept, and that word is terrero, meaning to watch over, guard, observe, properly maintain, preserve, keep intact, metaphorically to keep one in that state in which he is, namely as a virgin. All right, so because he's saying, I have loved you because you have maintained and guarded and kept intact. It also expresses watchful care and is suggestive of present possession. So you presently maintain and are guarding and keeping. It indicates safe custody and often implies assault from without. So he is saying, I have loved you because you have kept and maintained all of this, regardless of what is going on and what is pummeling you from outside, right? Okay, because thou hast kept and guarded the word, the logos, the speech, the divine utterance, the instructions, expressing the thoughts of the Father through the Spirit. It comes from the word lego, which means something said. And we know that God spoke this world into existence, and then he gave instructions for how he wanted his world to look, right? Through his laws and his instructions. Because you have kept the word of them, and the original word structure there, because of the patience of me. A remaining behind, a patient enduring steadfastness, a patient waiting for, a constancy. So if you get the whole picture of just that line, it says, Yahweh loved them because they guarded and kept over and kept custody of his words, even though they were getting assaulted from without. They were keeping this divine utterance that he gave to them from the Spirit through steadfastness, patient enduring, patient constant waiting for, right? Okay, the second line here, and I have put the word meanings up here at the top that we have just pulled out of the original languages. So because you have done this, I also, he says, I likewise in like manner will keep you and I will watch and guard over you. That's the same word here. He is watching and properly maintaining and preserving and keeping intact and expressing watchful care and custody. I love that. I want God to have custody of me, right? He is keeping us from from the midst of the many, of the condition out of which one comes or is brought. So, other verses confirm this. He has brought us out of these things. And he tells us, you come out from them. It's a separation or a dissolution of connection with a thing or person. Exit something with which there has been close connection. So he is saying, I will keep you out of this. I'm going to exit you from this and separate you from this condition from which you were. Okay. What condition were we? It says we're getting separated from this hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. So this hour is a time or a period, a definite space of time or season, or it could be a finite season, a limited time to reach a goal or fulfill a purpose, a divinely preset time period. It can also mean a 12th part of daytime because there's 12 hours in a daytime. So it can also mean a 12th. Regardless, it is this time period that God has set aside to fulfill this purpose. It is a time period of temptation. Right? If you want to look into that later, the 12th part of a day being 1,000 years to the Lord, is 120 years. And remember, back in the Old Testament, we were told, God said, my spirit, I have it here. The Lord said in Genesis 6:4, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. So that could refer to the whole span of man there that has been this time of testing as well. So it is this hour of temptation that he says he will keep us from. It's an experiment, a trial, a testing, a probation, calamity, affliction, a mental state by which we are enticed to sin or lapse from faith and holiness. So he wants to keep us from that. It's a trial of God by men, also on the other side of that, rebellion against God, where it's the men that are doing the tempting. It's against God by which his power and justice are put to proof and challenged to show themselves. So you could think of that as the evil that is going on during this hour of temptation is literally tempting God to show himself. Through their rebellion, they are pushing his buttons and forcing him to show his power and his justice, which he is going to do. We know that. Interesting there that that's an experiment, that word. We know what's going on right now in the medical community is kind of a type of experiment that they are doing upon the humans on the earth, right? So God says, I'm going to keep you from this hour of temptation or hour of experiment that is coming upon all the world. I'm going to go one more forward here. So this part of the verse, which shall come, being about ready to happen and sure to happen, literally and figuratively come from one place into another, up on, it naturally looks to the effect that goes with the envisioned context, the result. This is the result of what's coming. The whole, complete, entire, all parts as a whole of the world. The inhabited land. In Greek writings, often the portion of the earth that was inhabited by the Greeks, because that was all they knew. But this temptation that is coming from one place to another and is going to naturally cause this effect to happen on the whole, complete, inhabited land. Right. Now, this last line, let me go through this. We got that there. To try them that dwell upon the earth. To try means to make proof, attempt, test, try, or tempt. So we are being tested and tried and made to prove ourselves. To them and those that dwell upon the earth. The word dwell here is katoikeo, that means inhabit, dwell in, settle, reside. It comes from the word kata, which means down, and the word oikeo, which means dwell. So down, dwell. And that's going to come into play later. Up on, again, up on, we've been through that word, up on the earth, the land, the soil, the region, the country, the physical earth. This is the temporary probationary place to live out our moral preferences, right? This is not all there is, but this is the temporary probationary place to live out our moral preferences. So this tempting and testing is coming to them that dwell upon the earth. Now we're going to look back here at this word dwell and go through the exact meanings of that word. Metaphorically, it means divine powers are said to dwell in his soul and govern it. So something is indwelt. You've heard that phrase, speaking of evil. If you are indwelt by something evil, then those powers are dwelling in your soul and governing it. The opposite, of course, is being indwelt by the Holy Spirit. All right, this word is kata, down against and down from. Properly, listen to this, down from a higher plane to a lower plane, with special reference to the terminus or end point. It is used of a motion through a space from top to bottom. So the whole word picture here is these people that dwell came from a higher plane down to a lower plane, right? Can mean settle down, but we are going to look at the fact that these people that dwell upon the earth from a higher plane to a lower plane are a separate people, okay? Just keep that in your mind. So let me see here if we want to go forward, if I want to share a second part. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go through this whole entire verse map just as we just did it, and then I'm going to break this into a second part to get into the nitty-gritty that you need to hear to go forward in life. I mean, you need this information to help you with what's coming. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one more time just to go through the whole entire verse that we just went through with all of the expanded definitions, because this is called verse mapping. So Revelation 3:10, follow along with me here. Because since thou hast kept, guarded, and watched over, maintained, and kept intact, this is God speaking, because you have done this, you have kept intact the word, speech, divine utterance of the patience, constancy, steadfastness, enduring, patiently waiting of me, mine. I too, God says, in like manner, will keep, guard, preserve, keep intact, maintain with watchful care of my present possession in safe custody with assault from without. I will keep you from out of, separating or dissolution of connection with, exiting something from which there has been close connection. Exiting something from which there has been close connection. The hour, time period or season, limited time to fulfill a purpose of the temptation, the experiment, trial, testing, probation, calamity, affliction, mental state by which we are enticed to sin or lapse from faith and holiness. This time period, which being about ready to and sure to come, literally and figuratively appearing upon and looking to affect the whole, complete, entire inhabited world where men dwell, to try and test and tempt them and those that dwell, inhabit, down from a higher plane to a lower plane up on the earth, the place we are living. Excuse me. So I just kind of broke it down here in Kim language. If we guard and keep God's word, he will guard and keep us from this time of testing, trial, and calamity that is coming on those who came down here upon the earth. The earth and mankind is once again corrupted by the fallen angels, and God intends to wipe them out for good this time. This is where we're going, okay? Just as he hid Noah in the ark, while he purged the earth of evil princes and principalities, he will hide his people and keep them from the time that he is cleansing the earth. This time, remember, it's going to be with fire. It was with the flood, and he said, I won't do that again. This time, he is going to cleanse the earth with fire. So that verse there, because he has kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. We're going to go into this last line of this verse in the second part of this video. I do have a second video that I did 7 or 8 months ago that is called Who Will Worship the Beast or the Antichrist? It is available on my YouTube channel, and I'll put the link below. And that one goes into this a little bit. Well, we're going to get down into the in-depth parts of the words of who these people are that dwell upon the earth. All right, so come back with me to the second part of this, and thank you for joining Berean Bible Journeys.